All right, you guys, let me talk to you about one of the best deals in video gaming you could get right now. This is Sega's Genesis Collection for the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. I believe there's a Windows version of this. No Switch version yet. I suspect that there will be very soon. This is a massive collection of about more than 50 games from the Genesis era. We don't get any, Sega Master System games. We don't get any Game Gear games. We don't get any 32X games. Disappointing a little bit, but we get more than 50 games, and it costs $40 in Canada, $30 in the States. That is a crazy deal because there are incredible games on this collection. They are emulated, and not all of the emulation is absolutely pixel perfect, and you might get some sound hiccups, you might get some weird anomalies, but they've added some pretty cool features to this collection, like the ability to rewind and fast forward a little bit, so you can speed through some text, or you can speed, if you're trying to get somewhere in a game, you can speed up a little bit and zip to something, or if you die, because you're going to die a lot of these games are very hard, you can rewind and give yourself a little bit of extra breathing room. You can also save the games in-game, and there's a whole bunch of kind of ways that you can look at all of these old classic 4x3 pixelated, sprite-based games in the way that they're sort of aspect ratioed for you. You can choose to watch them inside of this little television that's rendered. You have this kind of bedroom kind of setting where you've got your collection of cartridges sitting on a shelf, and then you've got this little 4x3 TV that you can play the games on, or you can zoom in and have different types of borders around it. And there's also trophies and achievements that you can collect, and there's online play, which I tried out, and you can do it in a couple different ways. You can do it where all the games are selected and it just randomly finds you a person to play a random game, or you could choose to look for matchups specific to different titles. You're playing Gunstar Heroes, you're playing Dynamite Heady. I'd never played a game called Light Crusader before, which was made by Treasure, and I was really kind of charmed by this title. It's kind of an isometric action RPG with a sense of humor. I walked up to this lady who was playing on an organ, trying to play some music, and she said, "Listen to how great I am," and she just starts just demolishing a tune, and I was just cracking up. I just thought I had a sense of humor. And then you get into some pretty cool dungeons and traps and, fights with different creatures and stuff. I also dug the giant-sized sprite characters in Beyond Oasis. A little bit of a clunky control system there, but really cool art, It's a top-down action RPG. They were seriously chasing the Zelda throne on the Sega Genesis. They never quite got it. They got games that are pretty cool. Landstalker is actually another good one, too. But Beyond Oasis was kind of special. It just looks so cool, It almost was like a top-down amalgamation of some of the Zelda mechanics fused with some of the Prince of Persia kind of aesthetics, and I liked checking that out. I liked checking out Alien Storm, where I got to play a robot with an electro whip, which is and it plays a little bit like Golden Axe. I thought that was pretty fun. Man, there's so many great experiences on here. You get some Virtual Fighter and some Vector Man. I'll give you the whole list so you can see the depth of game titles. I mean, seriously, you're talking about 1,000 hours of gaming here. So let's see, we'll start right from the top. Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, Alien Soldier, Alien Storm, Altered Beast, Beyond Oasis, Biohazard Battle, Bonanza Brothers, Columns 3. They dropped Columns 2 for some reason. Comic Zone, classic. Crackdown, Decap Attack, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Dynamite Heady, E-SWAT City Under Siege, Fatal Labyrinth, Flicky, Gain Ground, that's very hard to play, Galaxy Force 2, no, Galaxy Force 1, Golden Axe 2, Golden Axe 3, Gunstar Heroes, Kid Chameleon, Landstalker, Light Crusader, Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4, but no Phantasy Star 1, weird. Rise Star, Shadow Dancer, The Secret of Shinobi, Shining in the Darkness, Shining Force 2, Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, they dropped 3, which is weird, and Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Spinball, Space Harrier 2, Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, Super Thunderblade, Sword of Vermilion, The Revenge of Shinobi, Toe Jam and Earl, Panic on Funkatron, Vector Man 2, Virtual Fighter 2, Wonder Boy 3, Monster's Lair, and Wonder Boy in Monster World. This is just crazy. There is tons of excellent gaming, and it's like 1,000 hours of gaming for $30 in the States, $40 in Canada. I think this is also one, because I have the Ultimate Collection, the Sonic Ultimate Collection, or Sonic's Sega Genesis Ultimate Collection for the 360. That's backwards compatible on the Xbox One, which is great. I have that on disc, but there's something about, and don't get me wrong, I love physical releases and I love having that collection and stuff, but there's something about having it just instantly available to you on the hard drive. I also bought that At Games recent Sega Genesis thing where you can actually put the cartridges in. I'm kind of a fan of that. And it's cool because I can dig up some of my old cartridges and slap them in there. And it would have been great for Sega to work out some licensing deals to get some third-party software on here. There's lots of other games, even games that Sega published, like the Adventures of Batman and Robin, which wasn't a great Batman game, but it still had that kind of the old animated series Batman kind of look. That Garfield game that they made as well. Clearly, they had some licensing stuff that they could have sort of gone through the hoops to get that they didn't for whatever reason, but there were also lots of other external developers that published lots of games for the Genesis that would have been great on here. And I would have loved to have seen the Star Wars arcade game that came out for 32X on here. You just know that Sega has it within them to give us the true Ultimate Collection with hundreds of these titles, or to flick some switches and let you download every single one of these old classic games and all of the accoutrements, all of the Sega CD stuff and all the 32X stuff. That's not included here. So this isn't the Ultimate Collection. Every time I tried to play this thing with people online, I had some issues with lag, which was nuts, and I feel like that needs to be patched, and I feel like some of the emulation stuff could also be sweetened and patched just to make things just even a little bit more precise. But still, it's incredibly difficult to quibble with a collection that includes, 3 Golden Axe games, 3 Streets of Rage games, a bunch of Phantasy Stars, a bunch of awesome Treasure games, a bunch of Sonic the Hedgehog games. It's still an unbelievable deal, and I think that this is one, if you've never picked up one of these collections before of Sega Genesis games, you have a lot to enjoy. These games are good. There's lots of great games in here, but I think this is one that you're going to want on your hard drive. You're going to want to be able to just sort of boop in, play for a little bit, and boop out. I'm going to give the Sega Genesis collection an 8.5 out of 10.